All right, we'll go again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Against the Fence. Sorry, technical difficulties. For some reason, the stream just kind of decided to end on itself. I don't know what kind of happened there. I did the opening sequence, and then it decided to end and bring us back. Yes, welcome in. Hello, if you're just joining us. We've got a lot to talk about. As I was kind of saying, I don't know where we got into now. I should probably make a few mentions from the prelims before we get into the whole main card sort of stuff. Excellent night of fights. Not sure if it was the better card than UFC 280. I felt there's a bit more of a buzz for UFC 280 than this one, but this one kind of delivered because there was a lot of finishes. We only had 3 decisions throughout the whole night. Some honorable mentions, of course, Matt Frivola picking up the knockout victory against Otman Azaitar. Great performance from him. I think he was an underdog in that fight. Of course, we got Erin Blanchfield picking up the win, first round submission against Molly McCann. Molly McCann is an absolute stud, an absolute salt of the earth girl. I was rooting for, obviously, Molly Meatball. If you know me, she's in my Twitter DP. So, of course, I was rooting for her. But Erin Blanchfield just shows she's just got this absolute insane force at the moment, isn't she? She now moves into the top 10 of the women's flyweight division, and she also called out Andrea Lee. So maybe that could be next on the cards. Let's get. We back? Yes, we're back. I won't get the chat up. I won't be able to pop the chats on the screen, unfortunately, because I have to redo everything. But welcome back, Angus. Love to see you as always. Minus difficulties, but another mention, of course, was this kind of. It was a great win for Ryan Spann against Dominic Reyes. It was kind of sad to see Dominic Reyes get knocked out again. You know, a lot of questions surround whether he's been the same since the John Jones performance and everything like that. But you know, he fought a very tough Ryan Spann who's just on the up at the moment. You know, he's improving fight by fight. It's difficult to say who stops that guy now. What's next for Reyes? Is the UFC going to give him another chance? Are they going to shoot him down, perhaps? I could probably see him ending up at PFL maybe by next few months, or at least by the end of next year, maybe. I don't know. I can really see it. And it's kind of sad, of course. Renato Moicano picked up the submission win against Brad Riddell in the first round. Kind of saw it coming. Personally, I thought it was going to be second round. But Renato Moicano, mate, that guy improves as well. He's absolutely kicking himself that he took that RDA fight on short notice. I think it was wasn't the wisest of moves. But other than that, look, he's looked phenomenal, and you know he moves on. Of course, he's now ranked. He's now ranked at the 13th, is it? Was I right in seeing that earlier? Yeah. Hang on. Is this not updated? Wikipedia's not updated, but I swear it said he was ranked. No, that's very weird. Yeah, Grant Dawson had pulled out. Ash just sent me a message. Oh, I don't know. Anyhow. Props off to him, of course. But I guess we should probably get into the main card stuff. That's enough on the prelims. Fantastic stuff. Sad to see, obviously, Julio Arce picking up the loss. Let's move into the first ranking card. The first fight of the main card. Oh, wrong one. Bosh. Bam! Dan Hooker picking up the second round TKO victory against Claudio Puelles, and that's how you say it, Puelles. To be honest, with this fight, Puelles just kind of wanted to play snatch leg, really. I felt that he kind of lacked composure in the fight. He tried to rush for the finish too much. He didn't really kind of mix up his takedown attempts. He was constantly Imanari rolling. And Dan Hooker was just, obviously, the more composed fighter, picked him apart, and done the damage with the body kick. You know, he was timing it over and over again. Pressuring him, I think it was a good win for Dan Hooker. You know, it probably wasn't like the best. It wasn't the best finishes, really, of course, but it was definitely one that needed to happen. You know, he's been stuck in a rut at the moment, and to be honest, going into this fight, I honestly thought that Puelles was gonna rip his leg to pieces. I did not like this fight for Dan Hooker. I thought the UFC were throwing him the wolves again, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We move on for Dan Hooker, and what is next for him? What is next for him? Bop. There we go. What is next for Dan Hooker? As you see, he's number 11. He's gone up one spot above Ismagulov. Personally, I've picked out one option for him, and I think it'll be Renato Moicano. Timing makes sense. And as you can see there, Renato Moicano is now ranked at number 13. He did just beat Brad Riddell, as I mentioned a second ago. He's a bit of a threat on the ground and on the feet. He's coming into his own a little bit with his striking. He didn't want to play stand and ban with Brad Riddell, and I don't blame him, of course. He got the fight to the ground and got the finish, took his back. And he's just so good at doing that. He's doing it time and time again. If I bring up his page, I think how many submissions? He's got 10 now submissions. Yeah, 10 submissions. How many by rear naked choke? He's had 4 rear naked choke wins in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bouts. And look, it keeps coming and coming. He makes it look so easy. Again, it would be a horrible fight for Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker is kind of owed a striker. Now, Ismagulov of course, is fighting Arman Tsarukyan. That's going to be an entertaining fight. I enjoy watching Tsarukyan, and I do favor him in that fight because I think Ismagulov will probably want to stand and trade for as long as possible. So if he loses to Tsarukyan, Ismagulov, Dan Hooker, that's the fight to me because both guys are going to strike. And I think it's a fantastic fight for Hooker. It makes sense. The UFC wouldn't be necessarily be doing him dirty. Sorry. So yeah, that's what I would give Dan Hooker personally. As for his opponent Claudio Puelles, I don't know if you guys might like this one or not. I've got it. I think it kind of makes a bit of sense. I'm gonna get back to the chats just to have a look now. Let us know in the chats what you think of these matchups. Do you think they would be exciting? Pop a like on the video if you haven't done so already. But this one, I kind of like the loser of Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon to fight Claudio Puelles. Yes, Spawn Fitz is in the house. He says, "Sup, Ash?" Look, Ash has got a fan in there. Spawn Fitz, I'm JK. Nice to meet you. This is your Aftermath show. We're getting into some upcoming fights. Yeah, but I think for both guys, you got Jared Gordon, who's very physical. I think it's a tough fight for Paddy personally. Jared Gordon's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. I think he causes problems for Puelles in that area. For Paddy, I think Paddy Puelles is a better suited matchup. Puelles has got a lot of submissions on his resume. So does Paddy Pimblett. Pimblett's very good at attacking off his back. But here's one to add for you, right? Paddy Pimblett actually got submitted in a grappling match. I think not so long ago. Was it? How long ago was that? Was it against Stevie Ray? I want to say. Paddy Pimblett's actually got a Wikipedia page now. It's taken him this long. Actually, it's not going to show me, of course, on Wikipedia. But I want to say it was. Was it? Someone help me in the chat. If you already know this, fire away. Because I think it was Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray's been taking everyone's legs home, to be fair. Yes, Stevie Ray, grappling match, 2019. Look, Stevie Ray is just such a good grappler, man. Yeah, and I think it's a horrible fight for Paddy, and it's a good fight for Puelles. He'd be licking his chops, of course, getting a shot at Paddy Pimblett. And it would be a great opportunity to pull that knee bar off because he just loves knee barring people. But yeah, that's kind of the options that I have for Claudio Puelles at the moment. Other than that, I would probably say I wanted to say a Bobby Green, but I don't know what's going on with Bobby Green at the moment. I thought I see the Twitter account saying that he's been removed from the roster or this, that, and the other, but I don't believe it. But that's why I've kind of left him out. But yeah, okay. But let's move on then to the bantamweight division, the second fight of the night, which was, of course, Chris Gutiérrez picking up the knockout victory against Frankie Edgar. And we had a bit of a minute silence, didn't we, for Frankie Edgar when that moment happened? Smash on a like on the video if you were there for the watch along and you saw, I say it was a minute silence. It was hardly a minute silence. I was just sat there just groaning just in shock, basically. But yeah, it kind of felt, I feel like the whole MMA community kind of froze when that happened. We was all gunning for Frankie to get the win before he bowed out. It didn't happen. He's bowing out, and I think it's the right time to do so, to be honest. You just can't be taking that punishment. It's just not great. And, he knows that. We've spoken to him on the channel before, and, his mind is set on retiring. So we're only going to talk about what's next for Chris Gutiérrez. I've got two phenomenal matchups for you guys. What do you think of Chris Gutiérrez versus Pedro Munoz? Because it'll be a battle of the leg kickers. Mate, book that fight. Smash a like on the video if you think that is a barn burner of a fight. Because if we go into the rankings here, we look, you got Gutiérrez in at 13. A lot of people have been slotting in at number 13. We've got, of course, Pedro Munoz is up at number 10. Hasn't got a fight booked. Hello, let's make this fight happen. Let's go. It's again, would there be any fists flying? Personally, I think Pedro Munoz would have the upper hand with his hands. I think he's going to be a lot faster. I don't know. It might be a little bit faster on the feet, but then Gutiérrez is very fast at throwing his hands. So yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how those guys, they could cancel out. Maybe Pedro Munoz might have the upper hand on the ground, personally. For Pedro Munoz, I think he's quite desperate for a win as well. I think it's an ideal fight for Chris Gutiérrez, personally, who's, on a 7-fight win streak now. He's moved to 19-4. He done the job against that man, Frankie, I'm afraid. But the other option I've got, welcome in. Oh, hang on. Let's get this. We got some people in the chats here. We've got, hey, it's the dropped guy, says Imran Khan. Don't know. Oh, okay. He's taking this out. Frankie there. Ash is not kind of happy. He says, UFC did Frankie dirty. Never let a fighter leave on their own terms. And look, you've got a good point there, Imran. Got a solid point. But I think, in a way, Frankie was desperate to have that last fight at Madison Square Garden. We spoke to him a few weeks before. When did we speak to Frank? Was it June? I feel like we spoke to Frankie. And look, time was kind of ticking a little bit. Or was it June or was it August? It might have been August, I think. Time flies in the MMA world. But yeah, and he hadn't solidified the fight. And, you can tell he was desperate to make it at Madison Square Garden. But, he just took, I guess, whoever jumped up to the opportunity. I don't think a lot of young fighters probably didn't want to, obviously you make a name off of Frankie, but probably didn't want to be that guy to upset, a legend, really, to make him bow out that way. But Chris Gutiérrez, I think, handled it quite well. Imran also says, Nate Diaz just got real lucky. Hamzat missed weight. Mate, that was a few months ago, my man. That was a few months ago. I've got my opinions on that. I think the UFC pulled some strings there because there was not enough pay-per-view buys. That's my opinion. But anyhow, moving on. The other option that I had for Chris Gutiérrez was Adrian Yanez. Because, look, I think it'd be an excellent test for both guys. You've got the solid kicker in Gutiérrez against the solid puncher in Adrian Yanez. Yanez is in at 13. Oh, is he 13? No, sorry, 14. One below Chris Gutiérrez. Mate, both guys are on a win streaks. 9 for Yanez. Bruh, let's make it happen. Smash like on the video if you think that is an awesome fight to make as well. Let us know in the comment section. And of course, I should probably take this moment to, reflect on Frankie's career a little bit, as we're not going to be talking about what's next for him. Hopefully, what's next for him is some solid rest, some coaching, looking after his family. Of course, he's killing it with the Champ and the Tramp podcast, which Ash tunes into every single week. So he's doing well there. And I just hope he continues to help out the MMA community. Favorite fight of his, of course, of all time. Probably the Gray Maynard first fight. I think it was so up and down. The one that finished in a draw. Other than that, it was probably the first BJ Penn fight because it took us all by surprise. This smaller guy just taking out the legend in BJ Penn and getting the decision win. But yeah, some of my full-time favorite Frankie thing. So we move on then. We'll move on to the third fight of the night, which was, of course, the fight of the night, the barn burner of the night, of a fight, but both. Dustin Poirier picking up the win against Michael Chandler, of course. Rear naked choke. Third round. 2 minutes left on the clock. And boy, was that fight absolute fire. You know, I think Dustin Poirier faced a lot of adversity in that fight, especially in that first round. You know, he was the more precise striker overall. He capitalized off of Chandler's mistake in that third round. Chandler kind of rushed the back mount, I felt. And, you know, Poirier was able to kind of capitalize and get there a lot quicker than him. And I think that was due to Chandler just kind of being a little bit too buzzy in the first round. He just seems to kind of let it all fly. And then, you know, he got the back mount on Poirier at one point, but just didn't really have the energy to really sink in the choke. And whereas the cardio of Poirier maintained throughout because he kept a good pace, you know. It's a shame seeing Chandler like this, but at the same time, we kind of can't really knock him for it, can we? Because who's laughing when it comes to bonuses? When you look at his resume, his recent fights, how many bonuses has this guy had? Look, every fight in the UFC he's had, win or lose, he's got a bonus. Fight of the night against Dustin Poirier. Performance of the night against Tony Ferguson. Knockout probably of the year. Fight of the night against Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira, I don't think it was fight of the night. Okay, but even so, Dan Hooker, performance of the night. So look, you know, he's had a good start in the UFC. Okay, he's 2 wins and 3 losses. But at the moment, you got to kind of ask yourself with Chandler. Okay, well, as we're on the conversation of Chandler, we'll talk about what's next. You got to kind of ask yourself, if you're the UFC, these kind of top names, they're kind of running away a little bit here. We'll get into the rankings, of course. Not much has changed, of course, at the top. You got Michael Chandler sitting in at 5th. The only guy he's not fought, of course, is Beneil Dariush at 4, but he's not going to get that. Rafael Fiziev is a really good fight, of course, but I'm kind of gunning for Fiziev to get Gaethje personally. Now, what's kind of interesting is that Mateusz Gamrot tweeted today. Now, we don't actually have the tweet to show up on screen, but he kind of called out Michael Chandler. And before I saw this, I actually added that into my notes. Gamrot, I think, is an ideal fight for Chandler because it's another kind of fast wrestler who's capable of bringing out this kind of chaotic style. I mean, he was kind of a little bit too chaotic in the Dariush fight, in my opinion. And, you know, but on the other hand, I give the power advantage to Chandler. But the question is can he withstand the cardio of Gamrot? So I think that'd be another back and forth war that you could put like third on a main card. In fact, you know, I'd perfectly like to see it. It's 5 rounds, but the UFC ain't going to put Chandler on a fight night headliner. I can't see it. So yeah, I think that happened down the line. You know, I think it's a good shot for Gamrot to fight someone ranked higher than him, even though he's coming off a loss. Because for Chandler, other than that, you'd be looking at he's got to sit out for a while if he's going to sit out and try and get a Conor McGregor fight again. We've said this time and time again in the Aftermath show as well, but can't really see it. Other than that, RDA's booked against Brian Barberena. That's what happened at welterweight. So he's kind of out of the picture a little bit. As for, of course, Dustin Poirier, I think we said it in the watch along as well. Beneil Dariush, but is an option that's there. It's one because I don't think Dariush is probably going to get a title fight at all soon. He's just not really a popular name, is he? You know, yes, he deserves it because he's on a win streak. I just think that the UFC are just going to have to keep putting contenders in his way, I think. Because otherwise, you've got Poirier who's just going to sit there and kind of go, not really exciting for me. On the other hand, I've not fought Makhachev before, so I'll just sit out, see what happens in the Volk fight, win or lose, make my case. You know, if I'm Dustin Poirier, that's what you do. Let's get to some chats then. Breezy, yes, Breezy, good to see you. Been a while, Breezy. He says Poirier is a beast for real. Imran says Chandler, self-proclaimed second best wrestler in the division. Who doesn't wrestle? And that's a good point, Imran. I'm gutted I can't get your chat on the screen. We did have some technical issues earlier. That's a solid point. We would like to see more wrestling from him. We did kind of see it, of course, in the Poirier fight, but he kind of blew his gas tank out in the first round. Yeah, I've said it time and time again. I want to see a more calm and collected Chandler, because I think if we see that, the threat of the right hand is gonna always be there. I think if a slower Chandler is more dangerous, in my opinion. I think that. I think because fighters are gonna anticipate it. We got some solid options here. Breezy says Fiziev Chandler would be a banger, though. I know. Look, I'm all for that option as well. I'm all for that option. But I want to see Fiziev get booked ASAP. And the timing doesn't really work out. I want to see Fiziev versus Gaethje. I think that's a solid fight to make as well. We got Imran reckons Gamrot versus Chandler as well, so he's kind of agreeing with me. Taylor Young says Mike Gamrot and Dustin Benny. So yeah, Taylor Young's welcome back in. Taylor, he's in on my options there. Imran, I think he agrees as well. Personally, Taylor Young also says he wouldn't mind Dustin versus Justin too. Yeah, I think that's also a possibility. They fought some time ago. I think it was Gaethje's second fight in the UFC. Something, if I believe it wrong. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would kind of make some sense. No, I like that one. Yeah, solid options, guys. Solid ones in the chat. Welcome in, everyone. Legend says Ash. Yeah. The other option actually that I've missed out for Chandler, and I guess I should allude to it because he did get called out by someone else, was Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez wants to run it back. Now, Eddie Alvarez left the UFC. Now he's want to try and get back in there. I don't know. Is Eddie Alvarez past it a little bit? I kind of think he might be. I mean, that's just my opinion. Let's see. When was he last fight? 2021, April, 1 FC. Again, I guess it could. Look, who's not going to want to see an Alvarez versus Chandler rematch? Personally, I think the second fight was a little bit lackluster because I think we had high expectations for it. Look, if the UFC want to make it, they want to make it. But I don't know where I stand with that. I'm undecided. But yeah, feel free to let us know in the chat if you wouldn't mind seeing that for a third time. Yeah, Ash says you lost his last fight as well. So yeah, probably not one that's gonna put hairs back in seats. Hairs back in neck. But yeah. Moving on, then I think we should move on to the co-main event of the night, which Weili Zhang, dominant performance. In every facet, really. Carla executed the takedown, but Weili was just so difficult to pin down. And we said coming into this fight that Weili's strength was going to be the one to stand out. I think we kind of wanted to see. Sai said he wanted to see Weili and take Carla down, and just to give Carla something to think about and kind of surprise her a little bit. But look, she hit the reversal on her. She got the choke. A lot of people were picking Weili on this. I'm not surprised. It's very slim pickings for Carla in terms of matchup wise, personally. But what's next for Weili Zhang? Title fight. I think she'll defend the belt against Amanda Lemos. I do. Arguably, she's got the most powerful hands in the division as Lemos. And, Marina Rodriguez saw that last time out. Timing kind of makes a bit sense. Weili's footwork, however, I think could cause her problems. I think she's going to be difficult to tag as Weili. And I think Weili's takedown will probably give Lemos some problems, And Draj put the squeeze on her standing. So, Weili Zhang hasn't got many submissions on her resume. Could be difficult. Could be difficult. I don't know. Other than that, You know, surely we're not going to get Weili versus Rose 3, are we? Let's face it. Because if we do, this strawweight division, it really is just drying up. You know, we're going around in circles here. You know, we're going to have Rose beat Weili again, and then Esparza jumps in to beat Rose again. Like, we're just going to go round and round in circles, man. I'm not really that bothered. Oh, we got chats up now. Lovely stuff. Mr. Brown is back and operating. Let's get into it. Yeah, so Weili is a beast, as Taylor Young. Taylor Young says, yeah, Eddie lost his last fight, but Mike hasn't exactly been on an impressive streak. He's lost 3 of his last 5, getting finished on 2. Old Tony was even beating Mike on the feet. Fair points from Taylor Young there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks like Taylor Young's not really fazed by that option either. Breezer says, after Carla's last fight, there was no way she was doing shit. Glad we got a fight this time. Yeah, it was. Of course, we were going to get a scrap against Weili. Weili was definitely not going to be afraid. Wasn't going to shy away from Carla. I think she was almost kind of anticipating the takedowns. You know, she kind of wanted to embrace it a little bit. Test herself, because I think that's how game Weili Zhang is. We're seeing it time and time again in her performances now. She wants to learn. She wants to build as a martial artist and grow in every facet of the game, which is something we're not seeing too much of Israel Adesanya, and we're going to get into that in just a sec. You know, we're just not. You know, we're just not. We're going to get into a bit. Breezy says she bloody picked up Francis Ngannou. She's built different. Just got sparked by a one-off high kick. Yeah, I mean, it was well placed by Rose, of course. You know, you can't knock Rose for that. Excellent timing. It is what it is. Rematch was much more competitive, of course. Weili versus Lemos, surely, says Ash. I don't see this Weili losing the belt. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She's starting to look just more and more dominant, really. I think really Weili, if I'm Weili, I think she'd be crying out for a third Rose fight. You know, I think she would be. She wants to prove to herself that she can beat Rose, and you know, I believe that she can. I think she has got the tools, but Rose is just so difficult in every facet. Again, you know, it depends what Rose you get on the night, how confident she is, of course, as well. Sai says, can't wait until she goes up against Bullet. And look, I mentioned that at the weekend. I mentioned it. I want to see it. I think give her some time and maybe it'll happen. You know? I would like to see her get tested against Bullet. I think it's almost so evenly matched. Because, again, Shevchenko's one of these martial artists we've seen as she's grown as a champion. She's giving fighters more problems to deal with in there. You know, she's taking people down, crucifixing them and you know, elbowing them to death. So, yeah, man. Breezy says, love to see Weili move up and fight Shevchenko, to be fair. Yeah. I think, to be fair, now thinking about it, if she was to move up and challenge Shevchenko, beat Shevchenko, we can forget about those losses against Rose. Personally, I think so. You know, because that solidifies her as, you know, second in women's pound for pound, GOAT-wise. We're talking GOAT status then. You know, who knows? Yeah, moving on then to Carla Esparza. Look, when you look down that rankings, we should get back to the rankings, actually. Not much has really changed. But look, she's fought everyone. She literally nearly has fought everyone. She can nearly bow out. Maybe, hopefully she's got some alternative businesses aside from fighting. I don't think it'd be a poor time to bow out. But look, the only real option that I've got for her would be a rematch against Marina Rodriguez, who has called out for that. You know, she did post-fight. She did call out for it. She kind of joked and kind of said, well, you know, I told you that we should fight next. Because she was calling her out when she was the champ. She was trying to get that title fight. She didn't get it. Was forced to fight Lemos. Got beat by Lemos. Both girls coming off losses. It was a close split decision fight, which Carla picked up the win in. So, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. But that's all I've got. That's all I've got. Breezy says, she's obviously strong. Imagine with a bit more on her. Yeah. She packs up some size as well for flyweight. Yeesh. We got ourselves a very, very highly competitive fight. Smash a like on the video if you love that option, and subscribe, obviously, if you're new to the channel and you're tuning in for the first time. But anyhow, moving on then, we should probably move on to the main event. Before we get into some social options, let's clear that chat up. Ooh, we get into there. Was Alex Pereira picking up the 5th round TKO victory against Israel Adesanya. Now, was it an early stoppage? That's the question going into this. We're getting into some Twitter alterations with some people, some Izzy fans who felt it was an early stoppage. Look, get in the chats. Let me know. I'll read them out. Who thought it was an early stoppage? Who thought it wasn't? I don't think it was. I thought that Izzy, first of all, Izzy was compromised because of his leg. Pereira checked a really good... And look, Pereira was checking kicks all night. But that one in the 5th round, which sent Izzy back, you knew he was hurt. You knew he was damaged. And throughout the fight, Izzy was backing up towards the fence. Because Pereira did nullify that leg of his. And I think when his back was against the fence, he couldn't move as much. Pereira let loose because he was shouted at in his corner to let loose and really go after the win because he needed to win. Izzy was clearly up on the scorecards. And look, he went out and done it. Izzy had his bell rung several times in that exchange, you know? And say what you want. You know, he did look like he was about to drop with one of those shots, okay? So Mark Goddard has banked that as a referee. You know, he's taken a look closely. There's a couple more shots that got through. But then when Izzy decided to drop his hands, that's when Mark Goddard decided to step in. Because if you're not intelligently defending yourself, and this is in the rules, you know, when you're officiating and you're a referee, look, I haven't done the referee course, but I've listened to enough podcasts, listened to Mark Goddard say this. If you are not intelligently defending yourself, I'm going to stop the fight. Now, granted, Izzy was on Ariel's show yesterday and did come up with a counter argument to it. You know, where I guess if you did go back and look at the Kelvin Gastelum fight and the amount of damage he took then maybe you should have let it go on for longer. However, now this is the big thing to mention here. In that fight, Izzy was moving a lot more on his feet. Mark Goddard was banking the damage that Pereira was doing to Izzy's legs. If Pereira didn't throw as many kicks and didn't check as many kicks, then yeah, perhaps Israel would have been able to get out of that situation. But he didn't. He was stuck against the fence and he had his bell rung. And Mark Goddard stopped it. And it is what it is. Oh, that's why I think it's a fair stoppage. Breezy says, not gonna lie, I was gutted. Imran says, good stoppage in my opinion. So props to Imran, he's on the side. Angus says, Adesanya was doing the chicken dance. He was out, good stoppage. So, and again, more people saying good stoppage. Taylor Young says, very good stoppage. Of that continued. Adesanya was taking brutal knockout. And look, I even tweeted earlier, if it wasn't for Mark Goddard, Izzy was going face down, ass up, and he would have been a meme. So for Mark Goddard to stop it, Izzy should be thanking Mark Goddard because he would have been slated online, you know. And Izzy gets a lot of hate anyway. He gets a lot of stick, and of course he's got stick anyway for losing. But imagine the amount of more stick he would have got if he would have just got flatline, and he was going that way. So props to Mark Goddard. Sai says off the shops to get some grub. Keep it locked in. All right, nice one. Cheers, pal. Thanks for letting me know. Breezy says, I think so. It's not a bad stoppage. He was moving and dodging. He's good in those positions. It is justified. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a terrible one. Yeah, okay, there's a fair arguments there. But, you know, for those reasons, I think it was a good stoppage. Angus says, the ref literally stopped Pereira from throwing a final left hand with Adesanya's head down. Goddard saved Adesanya from going out cold. Yeah. So Angus agrees. Props to Angus. Breezy says the size difference was nuts. It was. It really was. So I says, when was the last time Izzy beat anyone taller than him? Fair point. I think Jan was taller than him, wasn't he? So, Izzy's just good against these taller guys. And, I'm going to get into it in just a sec of how I feel Pereira's chances match up with the rest of the division. Okay, so bear with. Breezy says he dodges with his hands down all the time. He's was rocked, to be fair, but still I would have preferred to see him down. Yeah, I get it. I would have preferred to have seen his hands up, personally. I think if he had his hands out, try and reach for a clinch, because he was doing it prior, trying to stall a little bit of time, trying to get takedowns. But, and that was an area of Izzy's game that he needed to kind of tweak, because so I was saying at the weekend, poor takedown attempts. And look, Izzy's really not that great on the ground. He's good at scrambling. Don't get me wrong. He has been taken down in the past, and he's quite good at scrambling, get back to his feet. But, if you're a striker, that's what you do. That's what you train for. The jiu-jitsu elements of it, they're non-existent. I want to know how many jiu-jitsu rounds he does. Breezy said, hats off to him, though. He's taking it well. Look, I'm not going to just completely shit on Izzy all night. I'm not going to do it. I thought it was a very good performance from Izzy. I did think he looked very well. I did think he came into the fight a little bit more emotional. I didn't really like that. I felt that a playful Izzy is a fired up Izzy, and kind of he just kind of looked a bit. It's weird saying this, but almost like too focused. I think maybe you get the best out of Izzy when he's kind of having fun and flowing. And look, we've seen these fighters come through before. Everyone's different, but that's how I think he works best. Taylor Young says, I've seen a lot of people joke about beatable Alex is, and I have to disagree. I think his style is more beatable than Adesanya because he's not as defensive, but he's an absolute killer. Look, yeah, okay. I've got to agree with you there. I've got to agree with you. And I think that, personally, I think it's I think we've got horrible fights coming up for Pereira next. And the reason why is I can see him getting taken down by the likes of Vettori, by the likes of Robert Whittaker. And the reason why I think he gets taken down easier than Izzy is because of Izzy's quickness. I think Izzy's very good at avoiding takedowns because of his hip dexterity. Whereas when you see Pereira, the way he sort of stomps forward, there's a lot of stiffness to his flowiness. But for some reason, it works really well in this weird way. And because of that, I can potentially see him, people ducking under his hooks, level changing, getting takedowns. Now, on the flip side, he's been doing a lot of work with Glover Teixeira. We saw him get put on his back in his earlier 2 fights in the UFC. So, against the top level of competition like Vettori, Jack Hermanson even, Robert Whittaker, are they going to be able to hold him down and perhaps submit him? That's what I'm wondering. A few more chats then. We've got Taylor Young says, only guys I see beating him is Hamza and maybe Izzy and maybe... Look, I think Izzy can beat Pereira. I can see, of course, he was on his way to a victory in the kickboxing bout as well. But, maybe Pereira could have his number. I think a rematch will happen. I'd like to see a bit more of a confident Izzy. It's going to be difficult now when you've lost to the guy 3 times, technically, in, different disciplines. But, maybe checking leg kicks would obviously be one of them because Pereira just was doing it all night, chomped him down. I wouldn't want to say a slower approach because he had quite a slow approach anyway. Definitely not mixing takedowns like we joked about. I don't know, it's gonna be difficult. Ash says, Izzy's wrestling embarrassing. Breezy says, was the most awkward groundwork for a championship fight I've ever seen. They both looked awful. Yeah. But I think Pereira's obviously developing more than Izzy in that area, though. Dev, the dude's in the house. There we go. He says it was a horrible stoppage. Go back, mate. I've literally just broke it down for you of why it was not a horrible stoppage. And he also says the UFC is rigged. UFC's only rigged, mate, if you're a sore loser. Look, it just wasn't. It wasn't. I don't want to break it down for you because these guys have already heard it. Go back and listen to my thoughts. Mark Goddard was paid off. Look, you're just trying to do it for some clout, mate. Like, Mark Goddard's one of the best referees in the game, period. Why would he be paid off? Why would he be paid off, right, when Izzy is a far bigger superstar than Alex Pereira? Makes no sense. Come on, back it up, bro. Back it up. Come on. Look, now he's started to call his casuals. Look, now Breezy says Dev the bell end. Look, scroll up all these chats. Everyone agrees with me, bro. I think it's only you who's a casual, my friend. Only you. Because you're blindsided and you don't know the rules of the game. Simple. Simples. Taylor Young says, I think Izzy is capable of it, but Adesanya might have some kind of mental block against Alex. I know. It's going to get difficult now, isn't it? It's going to get difficult. I think the rematch has to happen because, like I said, Izzy's gone past that threshold of title defenses where it's like, you've got to beat him twice. So it's going to happen. How will it go down? Look, it would be a comic book story, wouldn't it? If Izzy goes out there and gets the win against Pereira next time around. I think it'd be destined to happen. I think it'd be destiny. And then we'll get a third fight. You know? Hopefully in that time, that'll allow some of the division to maybe catch up a little bit. Fingers crossed, we get a Darren Till catching up. He's putting in the work. Who knows? Who knows? No one likes him. That's why he was robbed. But, I mean, look, no one likes Floyd Mayweather, but he's a big draw. People pay to watch him lose. People, like yourself, pay to watch him win. There you go. Still more popular than Alex Pereira. Of course, Alex Pereira is going to gain some more fans for this. Great. Which does boost up a potential rematch or a trilogy down the line. But look, yeah, like I said, I can see it. I can really see it. Ash said, Izzy is a star. What are you on about, Dev? Missed two huge shots, then one little jab, then stopped. No, mate, go back and watch it. There was several. Go back and rewatch that fight. Now add in the leg kick that Pereira checked, which, by the way, is the start of the damage. Okay? Like I said earlier, Mark Goddard banked that. It led to Izzy's demise. He was compromised. He was up against the fence. He wasn't intelligently defending himself. The hands were lowered. As soon as the hands are lowered, you're not intelligently defending yourself. Mark Goddard stepped in. Your boy was going to go face down, ass up. You've got to thank Mark Goddard. Literally. Please go and tweet him now. Let's go and tweet Mark Goddard now and thank him. Because, look, Izzy was going to be a meme. He was going to be a meme. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a good point from Ash there. Like, people like him even though he's had boring fights lately. Same happened with GSP. Same happened with everyone. You know, it is what it is. Breezy on that hand says, can't see Bobby Knuckles with the strap back, to be honest. Okay, fair point. Fair point. I think Robert Whittaker versus Pereira, I think, would be a really entertaining fight. Again, depends where Robert Whittaker's at mentally a little bit for me. You know, he should be fired up that we've got a new champ, for sure. But again, he could be one of these people. Just can't touch the belt. A bit like in previous people we've seen in Uriah Faber, you know, as an example. Never touched the belt, but has always been at the top. Bro, the stoppage was sad. Yeah, guess it was sad in a way. It was sad for Izzy fans. Taylor Young says, I think Alex is beating him again. Just has his number, in my opinion. Even if Izzy wins the next two fights, he'll be 3-2. He's destined to lose the rivalry. Wow. I know, but I mean, look, I could see Pereira lose to some of these top names. But he could still just, you know, be the guy that beats Izzy all the time, you know, which is crazy because Izzy beats the rest of them. Yeah, it's mad. Mad. Smash a like on the video, though. Great chats, though, of course, as always. Mark was in for the Galvin fight. Almost let Kevin die. Look, both guys were were messed up in that fight. I said it earlier. The reason why that fight went on is because Izzy's legs weren't compromised. He was able to move out of those scenarios. It was a quick fight on the feet. You know, Izzy wasn't completely backed up against the cage. Go watch Ariel, mate. I've seen it. I've seen it. I'm not buying it. I'm really not buying his thoughts because he's not intelligently defending himself, mate. If you're look, you weren't bobbing and weaving. You were bobbing and weaving like so slow. You were one shot away from being knocked out. You took several shots unanswered. Ref's gonna stop it. We've seen it before. You know, it's not the only time it's happened. It isn't. Imran says, that clip of Rob wanting Izzy and Alex to hurt each other so bad that they were never the same. Hilarious. Oof, oof, oof. Yeah, Rob would be banking on that, wouldn't he? You didn't even pick Alex. What are you on about? Mate, do you want to see it? I've got it on Fight Picks app. You even on Fight Picks app? What's your points so far in last since January? Look, I'll even show you. Look. Oh, you're not going to see it on the camera. Look. But you can clearly see that is Alex Pereira's bald head. It was actually a decision because I thought he was going to bank rounds by landing the hardest. There you go. Didn't look like Izzy to me, does it? Go back and watch our watch along, bro. Tune in every week. Where it's at. Anyhow, look, we've been going on for this for way too long now. We should probably get into some social aspects and some talking points. What have come out from this UFC 281. So bear with us. Stay tuned. We're coming right back in just a sec. Bosh. There we go. That's the scene that we want. Let's get this Muppet off the screen. Look, fan opinions matter most. And look, I respect your opinion, but look, at the same time, you must be prepared for my own opinions. I'm going to shoot you down. You know, props to you, my man. Props to you. Join our Masters of MMA League, says Breezy. Oh, yes. Do you know what? I've actually forgot about that for some time. I've been off that for quite a while. Apologies to the guys who run that because we've been in contact with those guys. I've just been so busy. Anyhow, first story, of course, now I want to be talking about is Brad Riddell, actually, because, you know, he's kind of come out and said that he kind of wants to step away from the sport a little bit. He says, I appreciate everyone that has been supporting me and standing by my side from day one, though to these last two lackluster performances, I'm going to step away from competing in MMA for a good while until the fire to compete comes back. I'm not performing close to my capability, and it's a dangerous job if you're not fully present. I've been training hard for 15 years in and out of camps with not enough rest or balance, and it's massively taken its physical and mental toll on me. There has not been a year since I was 17 that have not fought. I know this is the right choice because as I write this, I feel a sense of relief for finally voicing what I had been feeling for a while. I wanted to have one last crack at MSG to see if the feeling from the last camp was just a one-off, but badly they were not. It's a hard pill to swallow, as this is what I've done my entire life, and fighting was my first love. But sometimes you just have to face it. There are few overdue surgeries to be addressed as well. I will be training and teaching. My energy that was all consumed by the sport will be directed at my family, which is a good move. This is sensible. The itch to come back, but a long time off is needed. I appreciate everyone always supporting me. Like now, the City Kickboxing coach, I don't know what his name's just gone out of my head because I'm reading that so fast was a little bit difficult. He came out and said on Ariel's show that he felt he had to segregate some of those guys at some point because he felt that some weren't working as hard as the others, and perhaps maybe Brad Riddell was one of those people. And look, I think this is probably a good move from for Brad Riddell. He's taken some hard L's recently. The Fizzy fight was mate. That was insane. Breezy says, City kickboxing falling apart. I don't know. I think the guys in the chat. Yeah, I think it's the right move for him. I think, it does take your, like you said, it does take your toll on your body over a period of time. If you're getting in this constant routine of camp after camp of the performing, and it goes on and on and on. Moicano wants money, says Imran. Yeah, look, like I said earlier, I think Moicano, we're going to get some good fights from him. Brad Riddell, I think hopefully we'll see him in the next year or two back to his best. Maybe fight somebody who's kind of a little bit up and coming, or I don't know, maybe not. Maybe a legend, perhaps. I think even someone like Jim Miller, I think would be a good fight for him. Even though Jim Miller's, I think, been performing at welterweight recently, isn't he? Or like Joe Lozon, for example. I mean, Joe Lozon's probably on the way out, anyways. I don't know. That's my opinion on the matter, though. I think he needs to take a few moments out. Moving on then to obviously the sad news, the saddest news that we've got to mention, because look, it'd be rude of me not to mention this. Anthony Johnson, of course, passing away on Sunday, was a hard pill to swallow. And I've met Anthony Johnson. I met him in 2010. It was at a Body Power Expo, and look, as in mad as a sport as I was at the time. Look, I was 16, turning 17, perhaps, or 17. Was 17? Yeah, one of those. I kind of begged. Well, actually, I begged Ash and I to go take the trip out there. Ash flaked on me. Yeah, but this is a bit of a story. I'll keep it short. So my dad decided to go with me because he wanted. I wanted to go to this expo. I have no idea what it was about, but on the poster, all I saw was just like amateur MMA bouts and fighters being there. Dan Hardy was going to be one of them. Ross Pearson was there, and I was like, I got to see these guys. And Anthony Johnson was there. He was there. He was obviously supporting. I can't remember the protein brand now. It was a really old one. Is it like TSN or something? It had like yellow cubes on it. But he was there supporting, them, and of course taking pictures with people. I was very young at the time, and obviously a bit naive, a little bit scared, kind of approaching fighters. But Anthony Johnson was there, and he took the time to take a picture, and obviously it's probably the second picture I actually took with a fighter. I think Ross Pearson was actually the first one. So yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of a history lesson in there. But yeah, it was absolutely sad. It came out the other day for more than 1 year. Johnson and those close to him had hinted at extreme health issues they had not only kept from him from competing for Bellator, but were potentially life-threatening. Then just last month, Johnson's manager called on mixed martial arts fans to pray for him. That's where you start to get to worry a little bit. Johnson was suffering from a form of cancer known as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And look, I'm going to bollocks this up. Here we go. Brace yourselves. Seatbelts in. Hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis? That's the best I can do. And autoimmune disease, he died of organ failure effectively. And look, I mean, Rumble, man, he was one of the best at just knocking people out. He was probably someone you could go, all right, he's got a puncher's chance to be champion, but you could probably never see him being champion. And he was entertaining to watch. And some of my kind of highlights for him, was probably the head kick knockout against Charlie Brennan when he was back at welterweight, the mauling of Dan Hardy, which was kind of painful to see because he absolutely towered Dan. Looked obviously shredded as always at welterweight. Always made that cut difficult. He failed on several occasions, but still went down. And yeah, he mauled Dan Hardy, which was obviously wanted Dan Hardy to win. It was gutted to see, but it was coming, wasn't it? At least he didn't get knocked out. Other ones, of course, was knocking the likes of Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, Jimmy Manoa, Ryan Bader out at light heavyweight, going on this run. He fought DC twice and got choked out, which was unfortunate. And look, we were kind of deprived from that John Jones fight, weren't we? We kind of wanted to see that, to see how that would play out. Obviously, at the time, it was just, I said it's a puncher's chance, but John Jones was effectively going to pick him apart. You know, I think, yeah, they were kind of like my highlights of Rumble. He even fought Andrei Arlovski at heavyweight at World Series of Fighting, and that was before PFL was PFL used to be World Series of Fighting back in the day, and he went to took him to a decision. So look, he's had a phenomenal career, and look, it's very sad to hear the news. Yeah, Ash saying Glover KO as well, and yeah, he was a scary dude. He was a scary dude, man. You know, even if you're a wrestler, you know. Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. Move on then to Khamzat being Khamzat. Okay, look. For me, Khamzat has fallen in this bracket now of a Conor McGregor, of a Jorge Masvidal, who've just got to put something out there as soon as an event finishes. And look, he says, this guy did fight for the belt with a 6-1 record. Let me smash him. I have a record of 12-0. Let's go, brother. Make it happen, Dana White. Look, but Dana wants to make the fight happen with Colby Covington. I think, look, I want to see Khamzat tested at middleweight, but I feel that Dana's going to give him one more crack at making welterweight, and I think Colby Covington is a perfect fight for it. I think it's a much more intriguing fight than Pereira. I mean, don't get me wrong, of course, Pereira's going to have the size advantage, but can Pereira stuff the takedowns of Khamzat? That's the ultimate question. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. I can't see it happening just yet. Another thing that happens around the weekend, of course, was Nate Diaz getting involved with some altercation with Dylan Dennis. Look, I'm going to be quick with this one. Nate Diaz being Nate Diaz, really, isn't it? Let's face it. Pop a like on the video if, look, you... I don't think we actually saw Nate Diaz slap Dylan Dennis, but pop a like on the video if you felt that Dylan Dennis needed a slap anyway. I mean, I think Nate actually slapped, was it Dylan's entourage or manager or something? New York, the entourage of Nate Diaz crowd fight built up. One clip greater Saturday outside Madison Square Garden. Following the conclusion of UFC 281, Diaz was caught on video as he was separated from Conor McGregor ally and Bellator fighter Dylan Dennis and others as that's it. Peridium Sports founder Audi Attar attempted to quell the situation. It's uncleared what sparked the altercation, rivalry between. Look, it's just Nate Diaz being Nate Diaz. The guy just wants to go around slapping people at events. I'm not surprised. But although, to be fair, my ultimate highlight of Nate Diaz at an event was him slapping that dude's or making that dude flinch and dropping his beer chugs. Like, that's absolute golden. Everything that can't really. I'm not really bothered. Imran says, before that, Khamzat needs to fight Costa. Oof. True, my friend. Very true. But, you know, if Khamzat does get the belt at welterweight, I can see him challenging for the belt at middleweight. But depends who's got it at the time. Tadia says, if Izzy can take down, so can Khamzat, unless Alex finishes him on the feet. Khamzat takes him down, in my opinions. Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm gonna get into some more Alex Pereira in just a sec. But, look. So this one was tweeted out by, I'm going to absolutely muck up this name. Am I going to muck up this name? I'll have an attempt at it. Shaheen Al-Shati says, Alex Pereira becomes the second least experienced UFC champion in modern era, only behind Brock Lesnar. Stunning scenes. He needed a Leon Edwards moment and found it. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, look, Brock seemed to burst on the scene as a wrestler and defeated like an old Randy Couture. Yeah, I mean, small category of individuals, really. So my ultimate thing coming into this video was, you know, is Pereira going to succeed at middleweight? Personally, you know, like I said, I feel that you've got to defend your belt to be considered a champion. That's where I'll go about it. He could very well just beat Izzy, and that's it. Maybe give a few strikers a run for their money, and face a tough test in Vittori and Whittaker. My ultimate question, though, is it going to get to that? Because he was late to the scales at the weekend. He is a big dude, and we could eventually see him at light heavyweight. So, I think one more middleweight, see how that goes. Because if he misses weight next time around, look, you got to move him up. I say the easy rematch happens, win or lose, you move up. Would be an ideal scenario. If you're Alex Pereira, you beat Izzy again. It depends on how popular he gets, really, how much his stock rises. Because I do fancy his chances against Yuri if Yuri beats Glover again, of course. So there's that to throw in there. So for me, I can't really say if he's going to succeed. Really, I think we need to almost see more of Alex Pereira because he's only fought 2 guys in the rankings: Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. But Israel Adesanya has beaten most of the rest of them. So I want to see. I want to maybe. I mean, I'm good for either option. Imran says Danis always deserves a slap. It's a mandatory thing to do if you ever meet him. That's how you greet Dylan Danis. And look, spot on there, my man. Spot on. Pop a like on the video if you agree with Imran. And also, Imran says Alex versus Yuri is fire. Yeah, I think I think it's a really good fight. The fact that Yuri likes to kind of bait his head quite a lot, and he's a bit of a funky striker, though. He's very unpredictable, which could obviously cause problems for Pereira. But, Pereira's very smart in the kickboxing and striking areas. Would that left hook land is the ultimate question, really. Taylor says Alex beats Izzy and goes up to avenge Glover after Yuri beats him. Look, there you go. There's the ultimate story. 2 stories playing out, which we've given you. Me and Taylor Young have given you. You've got, it's the stars align for Izzy to beat Pereira in the rematch and we go on for a 3rd fight, or Pereira beats Izzy yet again, moves up in weight and avenges Glover Teixeira. Look, I like those. Either one of those stories, they're comic book made, really, aren't they? Moving on then to my other one, which we've got Israel, very close of tying Anderson Silva's win streak at middleweight. You got almost feel for the guy in that respect, really, haven't you? So close. And you can see that Izzy was chasing, he wants that kind of middleweight GOAT status, doesn't he? He wanted to leapfrog Anderson. Maybe, it's possible. It's still possible. If Izzy beats Pereira in a rematch, does he then go for a second crack at light heavyweight? Because if he wins another title, then look, you could make arguments that Izzy is the middleweight GOAT. I don't know what you guys think. There's arguments to make. I'm not sure where my opinions sit on it yet. I want to see it first before I decide, personally. But yes, Jedi Goodman, says at UFC 278, Kamaru Usman had a chance to tie Anderson Silva's 16-fight consecutive win streak. Now that includes obviously fights outside of the UFC as well. Up on the scorecards, he lost in the last round. At UFC 281, Israel Adesanya had a chance to tie Anderson's 13-fight middleweight win streak up on the scorecards and lost in the last round as well. So look, maybe is Anderson's records are just going to be haunting people forever. Are you ever going to get close to them? That's the question. And I think as time goes on through this sport, it's going to be 10 to 50, 20 years on, we're still going to be talking about these greats like Anderson Silva, like GSP, that have kind of, paved the way for these future people, these future stars. But they're always going to kind of hang on to their records. And, for hardcore fans, we're always going to look back, I think, and consider these as the GOATs in their divisions, in my opinion. Crazy Usman was close to it, and now Izzy just missed out, says Ash. Damn, feel bad for Izzy for him, man. Yeah, kind of do. You kind of do. A long way back for both of them now, says Ash. And yeah, I know. I think for both Izzy and Usman, you got to do some crazy things. It's like Izzy needs to move up in weight and capture another belt, and so does Usman. It still could happen. Anything can happen in this. All right, guys, I think that is pretty much all we've got time for. Let's wrap this baby up because you guys have been phenomenal in the chats. Look, let's take us back. to the main screen, of course, to wrap this up. Look, man, we've had some excellent opinions tonight. We've had a lot to talk about. It's been a lot to digest. We've finally got through it. Smash a like on the video, guys, if you've enjoyed the video. And hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, because this is a UFC fan channel where fan opinions matter most. And look, you know, if you attack me with your opinions and you call me a casual, look, you're going to get burnt, I'm afraid, though. You know, I respect opinions, but if you come attacking at me and you call me a casual, I'm going to burn you. And look, tonight someone got burnt, and it was good to see. But yes, join us this Saturday. This Saturday, we've got another fight card. We've got Derek Lewis, a fight night against Sergey Spivak. We've got 5 fights in the main card now. One's recently pulled out, but it's going to be a nice early one. Some details for the watch-along are going to come in due course, so stay tuned for that. So make sure you've got the bell rung on our channel. You know, go back, hit the notification bell, so then you know when we're going to go live. And of course, keep up to date with our socials as well. You know, don't be shy. Feel free to reply to tweets and get into the Discord channel, which is in the description below, because we got some familiar faces from our chat in there. Always, again, a great place to voice opinions, and that's where it matters most here at ATF. All right, guys, you've been amazing. Peace out. We'll see you this weekend. Stay tuned. Good night.